Well, let's talk about a couple of those companies that are examples of those that are out at the end of the vector, if you will, in a 2 to 5 areas. And
Right.
you pick the ones that are the most compelling to you. I'm amazed at what Starbucks has done. I'm amazed at what Walmart's done. But curious as to what you've seen as some of those crystal examples.
Well, let's start with Walmart. If you look at the radar profile for Walmart, they've got a spike at supply chain, and it kind of looks like a dagger with the point at supply chain. And if you do business with Walmart, that's what it feels like, right? But they have revolutionized the way that retail manages supply chain. But what's interesting about Walmart, in addition, though, is if you looked in the 60s and 70s at their original strategy that propelled them ahead of Kmart and others, Kmart was bigger than Walmart in the 1970s, was much better known. If you look back at Walmart's strategy in the 70s, you find out that they were putting huge stores in the middle of nowhere to suck up all the local demand. So huge stores in the middle of Arkansas and Iowa and other places. And a lot of people thought they were nuts. In fact, the CEO of Kmart said at the time, "I don't get it. I want to be where the people are," and that's in the cities. Basically, he was saying, "I think Sam Walton's crazy." Now, the problem was not that the CEO of Kmart was wrong. Most of us are wrong, not me, but most of us are wrong on a fairly regular basis. Right, exactly.
I vote to be wrong.
Exactly. So we're all wrong sometimes. The problem was not that he was wrong. The problem was that he didn't change his mind after all the data was rolling in. After 15 years of Walmart getting it right and other companies piling in, like Myers and others who started building big stores in the middle of nowhere, they still didn't change the way they approached the market. But Walmart, being a pretty darn sharp company, they recognize that this strategy, the way they've innovated around presence, their locations, is not going to last forever. And so back in the 80s, they realized California's not letting them in, Chicago's not letting them in, they're getting pushback, they're starting to saturate, they've got competitors that are copying them, so they need to find something else. And that's when they found the supply chain. They said, we're getting big enough where we can drive extraordinary value out of the supply chain in ways that's never been done before, and they did it. So this is a mark of the great companies. They're the ones, as you said before, Ken, about the burning platform.
Yep.
They're the ones that figure out before the platform starts to burn that they've got to build a new one. And so Walmart looked for that new angle. They changed their strategy. They drove innovation resources down the supply chain. And I would recommend today, I can't say exactly how it's changing, but I would recommend today Walmart is in another one of those evolutionary stages where they're looking around and saying, what is our next step as a company?
Let's talk about healthcare for a second.
Great.
Ken, GE Healthcare, known for innovation. What have been some of your experiences there?
One of the things is you talk about a culture and entrepreneur. There's a culture of innovation there. GE is known, especially healthcare, for pushing the envelope. Now that's driven, I think, 2 ways. Internally, organically, that's the type of leadership that we have, always looking like Walmart, what's the next thing we need to do? One of the things that we're leveraging, though, is that with the healthcare debate going on and trying to make hospitals more efficient, it plays right into our space. But we're not waiting for that to come to us. We're advancing that and coming out with ideas and so forth. And what has really helped me in the classroom is that I'm able to bring that experience. This is how we actually make this happen. Currently, there's 2 parts of it. There's extending the product line, like we talked about. That's the whole thing. But it's also the new innovation. What's the next thing we need to do? How can we reach farther back into preventative care, not just diagnostic and treatment? But there's a huge opportunity, and many of the industrialized nations already have national health care. England does, and so forth. And they need a way to connect all those hospitals and networks, and that's one of the things GE does and does quite well.
Rob, are there examples of healthcare organizations that you've used to define some of the points on the radar?
A couple examples come to mind, some non-obvious ones. So there's a company called Kaiser Permanente, a very large healthcare company out on the West Coast. What's interesting about Kaiser Permanente, they have very good customer satisfaction results. Well, customer experience, they spend a lot of time focusing on a positive customer experience, but yet they're rationing healthcare. I mean, they'll say it themselves. They said, yeah, we're rationing healthcare. We can't afford to pay for absolutely anything anybody wants anytime. We tell our members, here are the things we're going to pay for and why, and here are the things that we'll consider in case, and here are the things we just don't cover that. You're welcome to do it if you want, but it's not on our dime. And nonetheless, they've been able to create an exceptional, compared to the competition, customer experience.